Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everyone? What's going on out there, way out in the back row of the XRP community? See them out there, Chip?
I see
Way
them
back there.
way back there.
Man, they're getting fired up. I'll tell you what's fired up. Ripple and Uphold abandoning the crypto community. You know who they're going to back? They're backing Kamala. What in the heck is going on with this XRP community? I think they've relatively lost their minds. Crypto community, we got Bitcoin. I think the Bitcoin maxis, they're embracing Trump. I think they know what's going on. There's a woke agenda that has bled itself out of the Ripple headquarters into the XRP community and beyond, because now what's going on with Uphold? Chip, we got to dig into this. We got to find out what's going on. We got to workshop it. We got to set the record straight.
Let's do this.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain, everybody. Go ahead and drop where you are coming in from, and let's dive right into it. Head first into the shallow end for maximum impact, Jeff. We got to get for the maximum impact. So, an interesting development with Ripple coming out, with Chris Larson, and what's funny about this whole thing is the crypto bros, 4 years trying to destroy it. You got vocal people like Brad Sherman, Elizabeth Warren, and all the other nutters on the left, right? Not one single pro-crypto bill has been authored by the Democrats. Not one. But we can go back to Warren Davidson's token taxonomy in 2017, 7 years ago. But don't worry. The crypto bros know better. This is wrong with this is why liberalism is a mental disorder. The left cannot free itself from the ideology and come into critical thinking and logic and reason. And the reason is because they actually think they're going to do an about face. And who do you think's been sitting in this administration? Who was in charge of the border to let 15 million plus people just come across the border? Who's been putting the stress on cities, all over the US, Chicago, LA, we have even Massachusetts, even Boston had like a serious strain. I saw John Deaton talking about it. And we're just going to pretend it didn't happen. And somebody made the point, it was John Deaton on a podcast, that if you say 12 million or 15 million of these people, let's just say 1%, let's say 0.5%, 100,000 plus people are bad. That's a lot of bad people in our country, Jeff.
Too many. It's way too many. And it's a little disenfranchising, let's say, when you see individuals, leaders within the crypto space that are going to, especially after we've watched this lawsuit unfold, right? You have Gary Gensler, who is, running an SEC that has been corrupted. You have a lot of unelected bureaucrats that have corrupted the agencies, that have corrupted the government. And when we look at what they've done to the innovation in this country by trying to decimate and crush, as they're stomping out, the hope and aspirations of so many people to build with blockchain, to invest in crypto. And all of that has come from the Biden, theories, from Kamala Harris, from Gary Gensler, from Elizabeth Warren. The crazy thing is, so we've seen these lawsuits unfold, Ripple being kind of at the forefront to save crypto. And then what happens? Then we hear that Chris Larson is going to prop up Josh Shapiro to be a vice presidential candidate for Elizabeth Warren. Not Elizabeth Warren, for Kamala Harris.
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren.
They're interchangeable, Jeff.
Same difference.
She ran for president last time too, so it's the same. She did.
The point is that, it's almost as though we've entered into some parallel universe. I was thinking about that the other day. I feel like there's a whole bunch of us that lived in both realities, and then the rest of the world is just living this reality, because we're kind of like, what the heck is going on? It's like everything was normal, and now it's completely abnormal, or people have lost their minds to the point where even, some of these, like you mentioned, the crypto boys, the YouTubers that are out there that are coming out, and others that are saying, oh yeah, Kamala Harris is doing an about face. She's going to do a reset. She's going to change her views on crypto. You know what? That's a big B, capital S. That's not going to happen if you're that naive to think that she's going to do this about face when the entire party, with the exception of a few, have been so anti-crypto, and now they're trying to pass the narratives through the legacy media, the false reporting of the fact that there's more and more of these Democrats that are embracing crypto, that are open to crypto. Tell me who they are, other than maybe 3 or 4. Who are they? Who are the ones that are going to embrace innovation, that want to give you the freedom to work with a decentralized asset? If you believe that, that's insane. It doesn't exist. I mean, there's a handful. I mean, very, very Richie Torres, Darren Soto, and maybe 3 others. Am I wrong on that, Chip?
Not wrong at all. I mean, this is where's the evidence that would make you think that they're going to do an about face? These are the same nut jobs that said settlement. Brad Garlinghouse comes out publicly. We attempted to settle with them. We tried 2 times. We even tried before they dropped the lawsuit. There was not going to, and everyone's like settlement. Yeah, okay, I get it. You do it for clicks. I get it, but a lot of times it's an actual. People believe their actual BS. They actually believe this stuff. And what's shocking to me is that there's nothing. You want to do an about face? You want to do a crypto reset? Okay, here's what you do. You don't say a word, because talk is cheap. Actions are what matter, right? Actions are long lasting. So inaction equals the same thing as what's been happening for the last 4 years. All it would have to do is put out breaking. The Biden-Harris administration has formally asked Gary Gensler to resign. Okay, has formally announced that they are putting a stop to Operation Choke Point 2.0. That's how you do a reset. You don't do a reset by blah, 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 blah. We saw that blah, blah, blah. The economy's fantastic. Bread goes up, milk goes up. Sorry. This is the kind of stuff you get out of the Biden-Harris administration, right? And to think that Harris is even more Marxist than Biden. Biden's just an old feeble cop, right? He used to be an angry guy that was in the Senate, overstayed his welcome by about 50 years, and 48, 46 years, whatever it might be. And he's just he couldn't be prosecuted because he was found guilty of of possessing classified documents. But the special counsel said, well, we don't know if we can actually get a conviction because he's kind of old. Memory doesn't work so well. This is the same guy that's the president of the United States, right? The same guy that has the nuclear codes. But he can't be prosecuted because we don't know if we could find a jury that would actually find him guilty. He was guilty of taking classified documents. End of story. Trump declassified the documents, took them, and now they're trying to prosecute him. He's the one that declassified all of them, declassified everything before he left the White House. And now they're like, oh, no, we have to prosecute Trump. The person that was, so this is like what's going on. This is why people are so angry, because everything's flip-flopped. Nothing makes sense. We're living in clown world here, basically, Jeff. And this Josh Shapiro dude.
We're definitely in a clown world, Chip. I mean, 100% clown world. Just one point before you go into that thought on Biden holding documents. He was a senator. He's held documents, what did they say, for 40 years that dated back, or whatever number of years it was. But he was a sitting senator when he possessed these documents. He was a vice president when he possessed the documents that he wasn't allowed to have. He wasn't allowed to remove them. I mean, have them in his personal possession, in the trunk of his car, sitting out in his garage. All these different, they found all the documents. He wasn't supposed to have those in his possession. Trump was president, was allowed to have those in his possession. There's a policy of returning the documents. So there was a disagreement on the timeline of when to return them, because when they moved out of the White House, they took, all their documents with them. Then they have to sort through them and return them. Again, the difference is that Trump was allowed to have them in his possession. Biden was not allowed to have them in his possession. They found out he had them in the possession while he was president, but he didn't take them while he was president. So there's such a distinction in the possession of those documents. And again, we live in this clown world because legacy media buries it and covers it up. They distort the truth, they distort the facts. And we're at a point now where you see talking heads on TV, you instantly shouldn't trust them. It doesn't matter what channel it is. You instantly shouldn't trust them because there's a good chance they have an agenda. There's a good chance what they're saying is somehow backed by some form of an agenda, to the point this past week, and we talked about it, every single media outlet down to some of the political heads themselves tried to pass a narrative that somehow JD Vance was weird. And they tried to say how unsettled this individual was, even mentally. One of the most accomplished guys, that's out there right now, especially at a younger age, extremely accomplished. And they try to undermine all of that because now that he's chosen as a vice president, they don't like some of the things he might have said. He's weird, but guys dancing around in dresses on at the Olympics with beards isn't weird, and all the other chaos that we've seen. But Chip, upside down. We're in an upside down world right now. Insane, completely insane where we're at right now. Why does it have to be embraced by Chris Larson or a JP from Uphold? Why in the world, when other CEOs like Elon Musk, CEO of Yahoo, and many others are seeing the light, you get these guys in the crypto community that should have already seen the light because they're fighting for the freedom and for DeFi and all of that, and they don't? You have to really question yourself who these guys are, what they represent, who got to them, and what the agenda is at this point.
I don't even know, Jeff. It's gotten to the point of where it's like we were talking before the show, and it's just like I don't even know where to put this stuff anymore, like in my brain, because when you can see something so clearly, it's like everybody looking at an image of a yellow square, and somebody comes over and goes, "That's clearly green." You're like, "No, it's yellow. I'm looking right at it. Everyone can see that it's yellow. I mean, just look around. Oh no, it's green." Like we got to the point of where you show the video. That's not me. That's a deep fake. That's that's not the real thing. Yeah, in clown world, they absolutely do not matter.
2 + 2
And I want to put this. Yeah, look at this up. So Matt Leroy's talking about this here. You can't even get on the right plane. So
oh my God, that was embarrassing. That was so embarrassing.
Now this is what happens. So so here it is right here. I can't play this. I'm not going to play the sound out. I don't have to, but let's just look at this. So this is after the hostages were released. Which is a great thing. Okay, let's not downplay the fact that was a great thing. Now you shouldn't have given up something for it. That's another whole story. But here we go. Now here they are. The hostages are there, and then Biden wanders off onto the plane that took the hostages to freedom. So he just wanders out of the picture. See the Secret Service guy looking at him. They're looking at him. They're letting him go. He walks up into the plane and disappears. That's not it. I mean. So what we later heard, the spin on this, Jeff, was he went in to thank the pilots. That was the spin on this one. He went to thank the pilots. Okay, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's possible, I guess, but the way this guy wanders off, I don't know if it's. Yeah, we're living in crazy town. But let's get to this first story. Let's get to the first story we were sort of talking about, which is this right here. Crypto billionaire Chris Larson, who put $1 million behind Josh Shapiro, says he's whipping hard for Shapiro to the Kamala Harris camp. "I'm making the case for him with everyone I can," said Mr. Larson. Why, Jeff? What is wrong? What is wrong with this nut job? Right? Billionaires got lots of money. Why are these people so guilty? Why are they so ridiculously? What does he feel bad about? Yeah, sure, dude. At the end of the day, do you know how much bread costs? Do you know how much milk costs? No. You have handlers for that. Do you get to places? No, you probably have a driver for that. But the average American who's sitting there watching, figuring out, like, what do we do? What do we cut next, right? How do we live? We live in paycheck to paycheck. We're trying to figure stuff out, trying to put food on the table. And you got nut job billionaires who are sitting there giving $1 million to this guy, Josh Shapiro, who's not a good dude, by the way. But that's
some of the things we've seen. Yeah.
So he wants Josh Shapiro, and we'll get into some controversy around this guy, some of the things that are going on. I wanted to, here's one right here. So Josh Shapiro, not so squeaky clean after all, from the cover-up of one of his staffers, a Democrat, sexual harassment, in that case now going to the U.S. Supreme Court, where the PA Teachers Union supposedly gave him illegal campaign cash. Shapiro has skeletons.
Yep.
And then there's this story right here. Josh Shapiro office ruled this a suicide. Ellen Greenberg was stabbed 10 times in the chest, 10 times in the back, and 2 times post-mortem. Why is Josh Shapiro covering up this murder? Does it have anything to do with her fiance's well-connected family in Philadelphia politics? This was ruled a suicide and brushed aside. No investigation. A suicide. This is who this guy Josh Shapiro is. Okay, this is the guy who is the governor of Pennsylvania. And there's 2 things. We've got the sexual harassment, we've got a cover-up going on, and we got a Supreme Court case going for illegal campaign cash. All right, 1 thing, coincidence. Yeah, everybody has some dirt and skeletons in their closet. 2 things, 3 things. It's looking like a trend here, Jeff. I mean, whether any of these allegations are true remain to be seen. But again, it's not a good look when all this stuff starts coming out.
Yeah, it'll keep piling up. And here's the point also, as we look at all this unfold, they can do whatever the heck they want to do with their money. They earn their money. They can do whatever they want to do with it. But come on, why be so stupid? You know that you're fighting for saving crypto. You know that you're trying to fight for the salvation of the direction of this country. You know where that party stands on destroying the innovation in the space that you work in, but yet you're going to ignore all that, and you're going to go off and back certain individuals. And Matt LaRoche, brings up a good point. You want change? Give your $1 million to someone who flanked the SEC and saved your asses. If you're going to do anything,
Deaton, right?
Here's John Deaton. This goes to my point, with Ripple, and we talk a lot about it. I like what they're trying to accomplish in terms of, cross-border payment and, offsetting SWIFT
organization.
But as an organization, they're filled with a lot of left-wing nut jobs that we see come out of that organization, and I feel like in some ways they're a little offensive. Even that big Ripple party that they had was a little offensive when they came out of the victory. I don't know. I mean, you were there. I didn't go. I wasn't able to attend. But, even leading up to it, I just feel like for what everybody did, it was kind of like this little pat on the back. Like, oh, thank you for what you did. Let us go. We're going to go back and make millions and millions of dollars on your efforts. And then you have, into Alchemist's point, John Deaton is a hero. Where is the shout outs from that organization? And maybe they can or can't.
They gave 6,600, by the way. Larson donated 6,600, but I also think he did give $1 million. He might have. I did think he also made a donation to the super PAC. Ripple did. Ripple made a $1 million.
John.
Ripple made a $1 million contribution to the super PAC that was opened by MetaMan. So,
yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then that's great. But
they did. They have made contributions, and Larson donated the maximum. I think it's $3,300 for the primary and $3,300 for the campaign. And so did Brad.
How much did he give in the PAC? How much did they give to the PAC?
I think Ripple gave the PAC
individually.
I'll have to double check that. I don't know that they contributed to the PAC, but Ripple itself contributed to the PAC.
Yeah.
Let's go look at that. So
I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is just, it's just so crazy. Just so crazy. I feel like, they're. It's almost like, I don't want to say a betrayal, but it almost is a betrayal, as we go through all of this. But, again, Ripple, what their efforts have been, I don't understand why and Uphold. Why is Uphold, getting into the political space? He's an exchange, go support pro-crypto candidates. Why would you back someone that's not pro-crypto? You don't have to come out and endorse anybody political or as far as president is concerned. Go support if you're going to do any investment in U.S. politics, go find a candidate that is fighting for crypto. Where is that? Where's that guy that's going to fight for crypto? It's John Deaton. There's definitely some others, but what does Uphold do? Uphold post on X, they don't endorse candidates, backtracking and never address the Kamala endorsement. It comes out and endorses Kamala. Yeah, like what? The whole thing is just reverse. Focus on backing pro crypto candidates. That's it. That's what I want to see. That's what we need to be doing.
So Meta Lawman right here. Let me put this up on here. So I did find it. Thank God for Axe, man. Really, thank God for Elon Musk. Thank God for a platform where you can express your opinions. Meta Lawman, this guy's another hero right here because he established a super PAC in the United States. You can only donate, I think it's a max $3,300. There's a certain maximum amount you can donate. And again, don't quote me on it. People are like in the comments, no, Chip, it's 31,000, no, 3,100, whatever. The maximum amount you can do for the primary and for the general. That's it. There's a maximum contribution. That's why they have super PACs. And this one, he created a Meta Lawman created generous support for the Commonwealth Unity Fund Super PAC, and management of Ripple's proving once again they'll stand and fight against the most powerful forces. Ellie Terra put this out. Ripple donated $1 million to the Commonwealth Unity Fund, a new super PAC set up by attorney James Murphy, otherwise known as Meta Lawman, to unseat Warren. So there it is, right there. Is the
all right, I stand corrected.
So they have made contributions. So it's not like and they do on both sides. So look, Ripple's doing a good thing here. It's just it's when you compare it, there's no evidence that would make you feel like there would be a reset. That's the whole point. Listen, go ahead and they can't get rid of Gensler. They can formally ask him to resign. Now, if the person who's just been nominated, right, and then we'll get into that whole thing too, for president, she became the nominee that disenfranchised 14 million voters. 14 million people went out and voted in a primary, and they selected Joe Biden, right? So what they're telling us, the party that's 24/7, but Trump and democracy, and he doesn't like democracy and democracy. We're going to defend democracy. Well, they didn't defend democracy because they chose a candidate. They didn't let the people choose the candidate. And the first time ever in the history of the United States, they broke with tradition, and they just decided to give it to Kamala Harris. She didn't have to earn it. She just happened to be VP, and that's how they did it. They didn't. What they should have done is have a primary, an open primary, 10 days across all the states, and let people vote. People throw their hat in the ring, and then if she does it, then okay, fair enough. But just to say that she's it, and we're going to have the delegates vote, and we're going to have it do it on a Zoom call, is just ingenuous, and it's pathetic to me. And these people, this goes to show you that they'll be so self-serving, they'll do anything, they'll be lawless, right? Joe Biden, I'm going to forgive loan repayments for student loans. Well, the Supreme Court came out and ruled against that. Doesn't care. These people are lawless. They'll do whatever to suit whatever they want. And there's evidence of that everywhere, right? So it's just it's just hard to understand, to be honest with you. And let's go with Uphold here. Let's go to Uphold. This guy right here, PaulX.XRP. I've closed my account with Uphold. We need to send them a very clear message. Vote Trump. There it is. Account closed. See you in the future. We'll always be here for you. Okay. So Uphold put this message up. And this is what Charles was talking about. So Uphold is 100% politically neutral. We're pleased to see both parties seeking to build more constructive relationships with the crypto industry. But that's just it. Do you see the brain damage in this own post on X? They're not. They're pretending. They're building more constructive. Explain to me, where's that happening? And thank God for Sean McBride comes out. We had him on the show. He's ex-Ripple. He's ex-Google. I think he's ex-Amazon. I get it wrong. So let me just look at his bio there. Yeah. Ex-Google, Amazon, and Ripple. All opinions my own, not financial advice. And this is probably the one guy that probably got outed over there. I don't know what happened, but he did not share the political views of 99.9% of the Ripplers. XRP aside, let's break it down. So he's going to break down this post we saw right here. And he said, one party is out to destroy the industry, forcing innovation and business outside the U.S. They block legislation, they veto bills, they stall job growth. The other party, fully embracing the industry. They're making it a major part of their campaign and promise and keep companies like Ripple and others right here in the U.S. It's also an official part of their platform, which I'll mention. They're fighting against people like Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler, Brad Sherman, and the majority of the Democrat Party, who still haven't found the best ways to tax the shit out of everyone yet. Screw your neutrality, pick a side. And there it is right there. So,
and I would really hope that Uphold and Ripple as companies maintain neutrality. And it's a case that most, when you look at corporate donations, you'll see that there's corporate donations. They go to both sides, both political parties, and they play the game. And that's a big part of it, that they have to maintain neutrality. Typically, you don't see, you don't have the companies themselves coming out to endorse a candidate or endorse a specific side, because they have to, again, the companies themselves have to exist. Their CEOs and their political echelon, that's a different story. They come out and they're going to, choose to back whomever they're going to choose to back politically, because that's more of a personal decision where they're going to put their own money, where they're going to vote. But you would think that the leadership, the corporate executive leadership, would be in line with, hey, let's, either you're going to try to maintain a neutrality, or you're going to come out and you're going to specifically back the candidates that are going to be good for the growth of the space that you're building in. And then to that point, and then if you come out, you have to articulate it and say, okay, here's exactly why I want to invest, or here's exactly why I'm backing this candidate. This is what the candidate has done for this space to build this space. Therefore, I'm backing this candidate because I think he's going to be really good for the industry. Especially, I would think it's even more important in a community like this for cryptocurrency in general, because it goes well beyond. It goes beyond what that one company does. It goes beyond. It goes into all the innovation that's going to take place. There's so much that can happen, and if you're coming out at the top, especially when we're still in that toddler infant stage, and you're going to start backing candidates financially that are going to destroy your industry, it seems counterproductive. All of that, all of the other stuff aside, we really have to look at that whole aspect of it. It's like, okay, great, you're going to back both sides, and then your corporate executive team is going to come out and make some outlandish contributions supporting the other side that wants to destroy your industry. Again, parallel universe. It doesn't make any sense. It really makes no sense. So again, I would hope, the statements from Uphold, I believe that Uphold as a company and Ripple as a company are maintaining, overall political neutrality, and they're going to do what they have to do to keep furthering and building their products. I think the corporate executive team, really, they have to be careful. They really have to watch what they're doing, and choose wisely, and that's really the point of it.
Jeff, we're not living in Melvin says we're not living in reality. Well, good. Apparently we're not living in reality. I might agree with that statement. Alchemist says it's a good point. Much to the XRP lunatic's chagrin, Trump wears Bitcoin orange makeup now.
That's right. You better believe it.
Yeah, well,
Bitcoin
Biden
orange
too long ago either, but it wasn't Bitcoin. It was just an orange. He got some color. And Jeff,
understand what happened there.
Another thing about Josh Shapiro. So in 2020, he was basically going on social media and telling everybody, hey, relax, because don't worry, the votes won't be counted at night. Now it turns out that, how did he know that 6 swing states, including Pennsylvania, would actually stop counting votes in the middle of the night? Like, how did he know that? But here he is.
Definitely a hedging strategy. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Josh Shapiro. And just a moment ago, the polls all across Pennsylvania closed. Now, if you're watching this video while you're standing in line waiting to vote, stay there. Your voice is going to be heard and your vote will be counted. But for all of you who voted by mail or dropped your ballot off at a drop box or showed up today earlier on Election Day, I want to thank you for participating in our democracy and exercising your constitutional right. Let me tell you what happens now. Now, people in your community are going to secure, protect, and count these ballots.
Yeah, well, that's enough. Sure they are. Sure they are. That's exactly what they're going to do, right? Stockholm Syndrome is about, right? That's true.
This is a funny comment. Melvin, the majority of Americans disgusted by Trump. Really?
Yeah, okay.
You think that's the case? That's pretty hilarious. That isn't the case.
No, it's not
okay.
the case at all. And I'll tell you
where yeah,
that's not what I'm seeing like blowing up on my X feed. I see a lot. I'm seeing exactly the opposite. I'm seeing more this time than I saw like in 2020 or even 2016. So, that's contrary. Yeah, what are you voting for, Melvin? Let's put him up there. What are you voting for? You're voting for the shitty economy? Are you voting for the 15 million illegals here that are crushing the economy, stealing jobs from American workers? Huh? Are you displacing people in communities where they're closing down their youth centers in Massachusetts, and they're housing them they're getting free housing and board when you have people in communities all over the U.S. that are struggling. Is that what you're voting for? Sounds like that's not disgusting at all. It sounds like what else are you voting for? Are you voting for economy that's been under assault with inflation? Oh, it was 9%, but then we brought it down to 3%. Well, that's cumulative. So add the 9%, the 3%, the 5%, and we have items that are 25% more expensive than they were when Trump was in office, where he's paying less than $2 gas. So what are you voting for exactly? Is that what you're voting for? Are you voting for somebody who will flip their who's a chameleon? So I call her Kamala Chameleon. Karma, Kamala Chameleon, because she's a chameleon. So do and say whatever. We know her past. We know exactly what she's done. And she's the most qualified Democrat. She is the most qualified Democrat to assume the presidency, because she sat as the border czar and allowed 15 million people to come over the border. She was the AI czar, another big fail. Everywhere you look, you find nothing but failure. And I've asked people online, well, great, name one accomplishment, just one. I'm not asking for a lot. Just name one accomplishment. Well, she was a DA and put people. Yeah, you know who she put in prison? She put 1,000 people in prison, mostly black, that were smoking weed. Yeah, smoking weed. This is who she put in prison, right? She locked up a guy for 4 years, and he was finally freed on DNA evidence that she knew that she had in her possession, but she decided not to come forward. So this is the kind of prosecutor that she was. But locking people up for ridiculous things. I mean, it's insane.
So, I don't know what the narrative or agenda is with any of the exchanges. There's a lot of talk about CBDCs and digital currencies and things like that. Miguel brings up, it shows me that Uphold is part of the system that wants to bring CBDCs in strict control of the population. Yet I don't know, Chip, where would an Uphold's maintaining neutrality. The company's relatively maintaining neutrality, executive leadership, not so much. It's very, as you really dig into it, one of the initiatives of Ripple is our CBDCs as well. So they're very upfront about that. They want to help develop, and that is one of those sticking points that I think we've talked about it before, and really try to understand what is the narrative there. And again, it makes sense for their business structure of what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish. That of course they want to use that technology. If they can get in with a government and they can develop the software for them specifically that builds out their CBDC, that's an amazing get for a company, to be able to do something like that. But what does that really mean? Agenda, what does that do to the crypto space as you start rolling out these CBDCs? Then the big question mark across the board, whether or not they use them or not, or embrace them, or they're part of the solution, does the CBDC have privacy? There's all these still open items that can be extremely, extremely, difficult to try to embrace that, because it's like, where do they stand on it? What are they going to do? What is the government going to do? Is the government going to use the CBDC again to circumvent the privacy rights of the citizenry? And then what level of responsibility does the company that develops it hold as they're doing that, even from an ethics perspective?
Jim D says the Democrats didn't pull each other on the decision to assassinate Trump. No reason to pretend the Democrats are interested in democratic principles. Well, there you go. That's an interesting sort of thing. And also John D says democracy, LOL. It's a republic. Yeah, it's a constitutional republic. All politicians work for the corporations and bankers. Yeah, and this is what a lot of what we see. Where do you put a CBDC on a pole dance? The whole thing about the CBDC, and the CBDCs don't make sense either, because all of basically everything's digitized right now. Everything can be moved easily. The only reason you'd want a CBDC is you'd want to have some kind of exercise some kind of control and programmability. Say somebody's I'm sorry, according to the official records, you are overweight, and you're purchasing a lot of junk food lately, and we're going to make sure that you can't purchase that. That's an extremely absurd example, but you can read between the lines on what someone's opinion, if the people who are the the purveyors, the ones that are going to tell you, the Ministry of Truth depicted in the novel 1984, again, I always thought that was the craziest thing when I read it, because I was like, this is so outlandish, but it's pretty much coming true. It's like this, Orwell could kind of see where things were headed and kind of depict where things would ultimately end up, where you basically just stop. You change the history, you knock down the statues, you rewrite it all. And what was the name of that movie, Jeff, where they did that? It was like it was a future movie, and there was one guy that had all the books in a library, and he was like an outcast. I don't remember the name of the movie, but he the whole thing was like nobody knew what definitions were anymore. They were calling like a bear a pig, and like they lost definitions of words, and the society was living in a place where they lost all sense of reality, because they'd erased their history, and it was a society that was not based on history. And this is what we have too. And there's been a lot, done a lot of rap digging, but there's a lot of that with history in general that's been rewritten, it's been recast, it's been retold. Even recent history, going back 67 years.
Right.
What's that?
It's rewritten by the victor.
Right. Yeah, that's right. The victors will rewrite the history to benefit themselves. That's what they say. Victory goes, spoils go. What is it? Go to the victor, whatever. It's how it works, pretty much. And we've seen that with recent history. We've seen that with countries. We've seen that with Israel. We've seen this all across the board of the retelling of a false narrative and a story where everybody gets behind it. And let's face it, Trump called it out. He said that the media is the enemy of the people. They are. The media was set up to dig, to expose, to find out. But it wasn't set up as a political offshoot of a party. It was never designed that way, right, Jeff? I mean, but that's pretty much where we are. And I'll tell you this, Jeff, this is kind of what a lot of people feel like today. It's like, you look at right there you go. It's like XRP holder, anything will help. You got David Schwartz there. And Jim Pickrell did this one. This is growing concerns about the state of things, Jungle. Look at, here we are, XRP holder, anything will help. There you go. That's a nice little, a fantastic meme there, James. So I like that quite a bit.
Was the movie called Brazil?
No, it wasn't called Brazil, but Brazil's another good one too. Gosh, I wish I could remember the name of the damn movie, but it's an interesting movie.
Not like we don't have
Google. Yeah, I wonder if it's even like Googleable. If you say assassination attempt, it pulls up all these other people, but Google's wiped the name Trump out of it. So that's another one. It's just, I mean, why do you have to be the person that's going to protect me from seeing any kind of data? Like I've said before, if you think the earth is flat, if you think the earth is round, who cares? But if you got to come out and say, no, you're crazy town, there's no way it could be flat, or there's no way it could be round. Like, let people get the information and let people choose for themselves. That's what freedom is about, right? Let's give both sides of the candidate. Let's put the positive pros and cons of every candidate out there and let the people decide. Why do we have to have, why does it doesn't happen, but why do certain people have to remember the fact checkers, the fact checkers, we got to fact check this, remember forever.
Well, here's the other point of all of it is that here you have a political candidate, which is Harris, who is now circumvented the primary election system, right? She's running around getting delegates to support her, but where was she in the primary? She didn't run for a primary. There wasn't a primary. 14 million votes that were cast to Biden deleted. Now they're basically appointing her to the position. She still has to go through the DNC, has to get the delegates. She may or may not make it. They're saying she will. But where is the system? What happened to the system when people are supposed to be allowed an opportunity to choose who their candidate is through the voting process? And now that they've deleted that voting process and completely circumvented it, and then you have all these individuals that are okay with it and they're going to support. I'm wondering what would happen on the reverse side, if something happens. And it's kind of like it's an unknown scenario that we're in right now also, because all of a sudden here the problem also is that those around Biden have propped him up for so long, knowing that he wasn't capable. So the question is, what part of this plan did they already account for? Did they plot and plan when they would remove him? If they would remove him, was it a possibility when they saw, the popularity of Trump rising? They're like, all right, we got to figure something out. Let's go to plan B. What does she do? How does she go to, how do they go to that plan B? And why does a JP, the Theriot, why would he buy into that and back? We had him on the show. We talked to him, and from a political perspective, a geopolitical perspective, it didn't seem then like he'd be the type of person that would back a Harris, that would give any kind of money or endorse a candidate like that. It just doesn't make any sense. It's completely contrary. Even like a Chris Larson, based on everything that they're working on, it just seems contrary that he would come out and support a specific, candidate that doesn't hold like certain. It just, something isn't right. It just doesn't make any sense. There's something that's a bit off. Now, this isn't really the case. It's not because she's the sitting vice president. That's not why she was picked for that reason. Because if they would remove him from office, she would then replace him in office. That would be the purpose, because she's vice president. But she's not necessarily the best candidate. They could have easily said, hey, Hillary Clinton is the best candidate. They could have said Michelle Obama is the best candidate. They could have said anyone was. But I get your point. I mean, she's probably the biggest name right now. It's probably the easiest from an ease of transition. It's easier to say, hey, she's part of that. Now they're talking about the Biden-Harris administration like it's one administration. No, the candidate is Biden. Biden's the candidate. But now they're making it like it's a joint candidacy. Like the president and vice president is one candidacy, and all the money goes to that one candidacy. But that's not the case. It goes to Biden. All that money was then transferred over to Harris. And this is, so there's definitely some problems. It'd be interesting whether if there's a, constitutional dilemma from a legality perspective, but I don't know. It's going to be, there's brighter minds that understand that stuff a lot more that are going to have to dig into it. Really, really a lot. Hidalgo saying, let's just be straight up. Ripple is going to rule this space. Every other crypto is going to fall second to the one that moves all the money across the borders to anyone in this world when they want it or need it. All the other stuff is nonsense. Their connections and who they're with. It doesn't matter which president. Ripple steals the win. I don't know that they're going to control everything. If we look at the crypto space, it goes back, it's kind of like a Bitcoin maxi. The Bitcoin maxis thinks the epicenter of the crypto world is Bitcoin. I believe, and Chip believes that there's a point and use and need for the entire space. It's like Chip brings it up all the time. Maybe there was only one stock in the world, and it was Apple, and that's all you had the opportunity to invest in, just that one company, and that's it, right? But when we look at this space at large, but you're right, XRP and the XRPL, probably one of the best ledgers that has been created for moving money, because you can do it efficiently, you can do it quick, you can do it cheaply. It makes a lot of sense that a lot of the financial infrastructure will run across the XRPL. Look at Spend the Bits, to your point too. Spend the Bits is moving Bitcoin across the XRPL, does it efficiently, but that doesn't detract from the purpose and need of Bitcoin and the valuation and the store of value. It's just that now the movement of it, there's a technology that allows that store of value to be moved more efficiently. So I don't know that it does away with it, but I think all these different technologies build efficiencies on, within one another, which is why, we believe in interoperability and cross-chain. It's so necessary. Even with Flare, Flare understands, the impact of interoperability and cross-chain, especially when it comes to smart contracts.
Yeah.
So there's so much more, Chip. There's a lot more. But I love the commentary, because as we're able to workshop this so much better. we're really workshopping this better.
Why am I
This
so
is
white in
awesome.
this picture? I think it is my lighting. Now I'm super dark. Now I'm white. It's
I'm
like
so far away.
you're far away. This was from when was this for? 3 years ago, right? So we had JP on the show.
I am Chip. That is my co-host Jeff, and tonight we have a very special guest with us, JP.
And I screwed his name up, so let's not.
Tiro. So why don't
he
you
told
get
me
into
like
a
3
couple
times on
things?
the
I mean,
before the
there's been
show.
so much going on. I mean, like
of 2021, everything should hopefully be in hand. Insofar as crypto and the financial markets are concerned, it's been I don't know, insane January. I don't know how else to describe it. It was already interesting, and then with the Wall Street bets.
So anyway, here we go. So this is from 3 years ago, and I just took this. I have a plugin that allows it to summarize. He shared insights in Uphold's operation, the broader crypto dynamics, key points from discussion. This is something that I had from memory, but I wanted to double check. Before founding Uphold, Theriot had an extensive experience in technology investment banking, later ventured into agriculture in Argentina, which I believe that's where his family's from. And what do they have in Argentina now? They have Malay, right? They had 200% inflation because of Marxist principles and socialism and communism, you name it. And a guy named Malay came in and basically, fixed everything there. So, it's just, to me, it's remarkable. Let me go ahead and I have to reshare this because you know how this works, but here we go. So this is the summarization right here. Uphold platform facilitates seamless currency exchanges, distinguishes itself from competitors like Coinbase, Robinhood through its unique service offerings, market dynamics. And so it basically takes any YouTube video and will throw it over to ChatGPT and then summarize the transcript. Regulatory environment, impact of Robinhood and retail investing, CBDCs, all the stuff we covered in the interviews, future of crypto and Uphold initiatives. Theriot evaluates the potential impacts and challenges of central bank digital currencies on the existing financial system and the interaction with the decentralized cryptocurrencies. It was interesting to see what his stance was as far as that was concerned. But you're right, he did not come off as a guy at all in that interview that came across as somebody with left-leaning views. He just didn't.
Right.
From what I remember. And I guess that's what it is. So what do you, I don't know what to think here, Jeff, but
I know, but here's a comment from Melvin. I want to get your comment. Keep putting these posts up there. I love all views. I think it's so critical that we're able to share, discuss, and workshop all sides of issues, which is, why we put this out there to begin with. We have to look at the whole picture, which is really important. So Melvin, what you guys should be discussing is why America's embraced her candidacy. Why is Gen X, I don't know what the 0026 thing is, thinking maybe it's an emoji. Gen Z supporting her the way that have been. In less than 2 weeks, she has raised $310 million. What happened? I'll tell you, America is tired of having to pick between two 80-year-old guys. They are 80, for goodness sakes. 80. It's time for the next generation.
Right. Well, this is exactly why I think you're wrong about this, because you are turning this into an age thing. Let's pick a younger person, right? A younger person who lies about their identity. Okay. I don't know if we want to worship that whole thing, but when she was elected to Senate, she was the first Indian American ever in the history of the world that was, and then all of a sudden now she's like identifying as Black when if you look at the birth certificate of her father was listed as Caucasian. He was Irish and Indian. Her mother was Indian, but now, and of course the dad was Jamaican. So you could say that, but if there are people in Jamaica that, to assume everybody is Black is incorrect as well. Same with Bahamas. There's people from the Bahamas, there's a very small percentage, maybe 5-10% that are not Black. So this whole thing of like lying about your identity or leading people on to believe this, you're making this about age. I don't want to pick between 2 but you know what you ought to be thinking about, Melvin? You ought to be thinking about eliminate the person and start talking about the policy and the impact of policy, right? The policy of the Biden administration. First thing they did when they came in, Biden signed executive orders closing down all of Trump's border stuff. They opened up the borders. They lied about it for 4 years. They went into hearings. No, the borders are perfectly secure. And you saw that Lester Holt interview with Kamala Harris where he put her on there and she said, no, I've been to the border. But you haven't been to the border. Well, I haven't been to Europe. Okay. you lying in the face that your job. We didn't. She wasn't a border czar. We saw all this being erased. Wasn't a border czar. She was put in front of the border. Was she given the title border czar? Her job was in charge of the border. She failed miserably, right? She failed. She's the AI czar. Failed miserably. There's miserable failure after failure, and looking at the person versus the policy is a big mistake. And there's nothing about Harris that would have any indication to think she's the smartest person in the room. If you look at her history, unfortunately, there's a lot of, just like go back and do your own research, you'll see it. She doesn't represent the next generation. She doesn't represent the next generation. You know who represents the next generation?
Oh,
I thought you were going to say it, Joe. I was waiting for that.
No, I'm going to post a few more of these.
Byron Donalds represents the next generation. Byron Donalds, in my opinion, should have been the VP pick. Why? This guy's young. He's intelligent. He understands policy better than almost anybody else. He happens to be African American. He is one of the best people suited for the position. You want to do a little bit of study about who the next generation is? Put up someone like a Byron Donalds against Kamala Harris. This contrast is stark. It's unbelievable. And the person that has, if people that eliminate freedom, that want to take your freedoms away, how do we know this? Supreme Court comes out and says, no, you can't forgive loans. Biden-Harris administration, we don't care. We're going to be on X. And then what else? Everything leads to a Marxist socialist thing. So you want to vote for the person, you're doing a grave disservice to yourself. You vote for policy. Who cares about the person?
Yep.
You go back in far history and look at Churchill. Churchill wasn't a good dude. Churchill was a womanizer. Churchill was a smoker. Churchill was, you could say all this thing, but Churchill's the only one that stood up and said, come, I'm standing up. I'm going to single-handedly defend, and got the U.S. over there to go ahead and defend basically Europe. Okay. Yep. So I don't care about mean tweets, and no other politician in the history of the world has been throat punched 24/7 with bullshit stories, with fake indictments, with a sexual harassment suit against him. Zero evidence, no witnesses, no account of these people being there at the time, zero. And any other court of law would have been laughed out of court. But because it's Trump, then we got a different story. So to me, Jeff, this whole thing, if you're not voting for policy, you're doing a grave disservice. What'd you say? It's like, Jeff, did you hear that?
There's so commentary. So Matt had asked you, he said, were you dyeing your hair back then? Because the light was off and your hair was like bright. So they're talking about, were you dyeing your hair? And then they said, Jeff's hair died a long time ago, or Jeff's hair died. You get it? So
of course.
Your hair stayed consistent. So then they were talking about that.
Well,
it's just funny.
I'm happy to have hair, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be honest.
Died a long time ago.
Get up every day and look at my hairline and see if it's still there, Jeff. That's what at my advanced age, I want to make sure that it's still there. So that's what you want to.
But here's this one, Kamala Harris, the most accomplished person. It's such a joke, though. Come on. Why?
Now we're
Why would
getting,
anyone say that?
Listen, if you want to have a serious conversation, great. But you can say blah, blah, blah. Okay. But if you want to say they're doing a reset, great. Go ahead and ask for Gensler's resignation. I see nothing that indicates any of that. And it's just another big crypto bros wanting to do this. If I asked you for one accomplishment, and you say the resume is sublime. Okay. Now we know we're not having a serious conversation. I vote for policy. You know what I liked? I liked the raging economy. I liked low unemployment. I liked gas under $2. This is one of the things that I enjoyed, right? No wars, no new wars. Nobody can say that. Trump is the peace president.
I agree with Alchemist. I like that Melvin is stirring the pot. You have to bring this stuff out. Otherwise, it's just a sounding board. What's the point? What's that?
Of course, he's yanking the chains. I know he's doing that. I get it.
The whole point. I would hope he does.
There's a lot of people out there.
If you don't do that, then what? There's
a lot of people out there that are just the same. But anyway, Jeff, I want to put this. I've got a couple of videos lined up here for you here. This guy right here. This guy brings the comedy crew. What happened there, Jeff? Wrong button. What happened? Here we go. This guy loves Kamala. Look at this.
Kamala Harris. The Indian community will not be voting for you. Specifically because you did not mention that coconut tree was from India. Kamala, your mother is my auntie. And your auntie has never come to my baptism or my graduation or any of my family's birthday parties. Kamala, have you ever seen a Mammootty film? Kamala, if you were truly half Indian, then you would know who Mammootty is. Kamala, the only Indian friend that you have is Priyanka Chopra. And that bitch is white. Kamala, I revoke your mango lassi access. You are not allowed to use cumin or turmeric in your cooking ever again. Kamala, unless I see the red dot on your forehead, do not be going after any Indians to vote for you. Don't act like us.
That guy's funny. So it's good to bring a little bit of humor into things. This guy here has a lot of questions, Jeff. He's got some questions, Jeff, and maybe you know some of the answers to this, but
why is it at gender reveal parties, people only choose one of two colors? So I can't assume your gender, but you can assume I'm racist? If genitals don't define gender, how does removing them affirm it? It's scary when the weatherman is the closest one to telling the truth on the news now. If the vaccine doesn't keep you from getting or spreading the virus, what the hell does the booster boost? If women can be paid less for doing the exact same work, why wouldn't every company just hire women? How are we taking the rights of women away if we don't know what a woman is? So the man who accidentally left 300,000 guns for the Taliban is going to lecture us on gun control? Want to stop drunk drivers from killing sober drivers? Ban sober drivers. That's how gun control works.
Landed some good points there, Jeff. And he's always eating something too. The guy's like always in a restaurant, Chick-fil-A, ice cream.
No, he's so funny.
Biscuits and gravy. I mean, it's like it's just like nonstop for this guy. But those are some interesting questions there. I mean, I like to know the question. That guy brings a little bit of sanity and truth. Jeff, you know what happens when you're a Democrat?
Nothing good.
You're a Democrat. What does democracy really mean?
Democracy.
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 Our democracy.
Our democracy.
When you're a Democrat, democracy means conspiring in a years-long cover-up to hide the fact that your election candidate and sitting president is cognitively compromised and mentally unfit, rigging your own primary for one candidate by blocking alternatives, then disenfranchising your own voters by executing a coup to remove him once the cover-up is exposed and you're behind in the polls. When you're a Democrat, democracy means censoring the internet, attempting to destroy anyone who opposes it, and employing U.S. intelligence agencies to outsource First Amendment violations to third-party surrogates. When you're a Democrat, democracy means attempting to remove your political opponent's name from the ballot, opposing all election security measures, making it harder to prosecute voter fraud, and killing legislation that would strengthen laws against non-citizens voting in national elections. When you're a Democrat, democracy means waging an unprecedented lawfare campaign against your political opponent, trying to imprison him, jailing as many of his supporters as possible, and demonizing him with so much harmful rhetoric that it leads to an assassination attempt. When you're a Democrat, democracy really means Democrat power.
Any questions?
Nope.
I don't have one. I don't even have one. Any comments? That's like pretty spot on, right? Yeah, when you're a Democrat. When you're a Democrat, you weren't so concerned that Trump had to be indicted 4 times. No. But you were very concerned about it once he was running for president and threw his hat in the ring. Then all of a sudden it became a worry. It was like fast and furious. We have to worry about this now. But when you're a Democrat, it only matters if it's threatening, because if it's not, then who cares, right? That's kind of how it works, Jeff.
I think we should put some of the rhinos in there too.
Yeah, well, the rhinos should be in there. I mean, that's the thing. That's the reason I'm not a Republican, because they're all almost 95% of them are rhinos. That's the whole point. They're all rhinos. And then I want to share this video here. This is a revolutionary story that I think is badass as hell. This is how far we have come. But listen to this story that you may or may not have heard, but This is how far we've fallen, Jeff.
Story from the American Revolution. Samuel Whitmore. He's 78 years old in April of 1775. He's a military veteran of the French and Indian Wars. And he hears the British soldiers marching by to go attack his buddies, the Patriots, at Lexington and Concord. Well, Samuel Whitmore, at 78 years old, goes and guns himself up, loads his 2 pistols and his musket, and he goes out and he single-handedly attacks the British marching by and kills 3 British soldiers. He draws his sword, which doesn't need reloading, and he attacks. British overwhelm him, they shoot him in the face, they bayonet him 6 times. And the Patriots found him an hour later, he was trying to reload. He lived for 18 more years. Wow. So it's a great example. However old you are never too old to be on the fight.
78 years old. 78 years old. They bayoneted him 6 times. They stabbed him basically 6 times, shot him in the face. And when they found him an hour later, he's trying to reload. That's a serious badass, dude. That is a serious badass. And the fact that he didn't die and lived another 12 years, it's insane. He lived to be 90 years old. This is how far we've fallen. Now we have people who think, who feel, you know what you need? You need an awakening, man. You know what? Go live in one of these countries. Go see what it's like to live in Venezuela and shut down wait, Jeff, they shut down the polls. They blocked people from going in and voting. Geez, that never happens here. Happened in Arizona. It happened in it happened all over the last election, the 2020 election. But this is what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Shut it down.
Shut it down. And
lock the voice.
We knew who
the other side to have a voice.
We knew who Florida selected. Florida selected that night. We knew by 9 o'clock, 9:30. But meanwhile, 10:30 with Trump leading by at least 4 or 5 points with 92 to 94% in. And then all of a sudden, all the ones who were counted over the next week or 2-3 weeks, they were just all 95% for Biden. What a mystery. And if you know anything about statistics, statistically impossible.
Right. So we're going to see, Chip, what happens in the outcome of the upcoming election. We'll see how many people vote.
We shall see.
94% of those that could vote voted in the 2020 election. Every election before that, the highest was the Obama 2008, 66%. That was the highest percentage of voters ever. 94%, probably not accurate, being that it never happened before, will probably never happen again. The numbers were so way off, so skewed. Democrats are the what's that?
Democrats are the 1775 British. And Matt says, when you're a Democrat, you're constantly running out of Xerox ink for ballot production. Yeah, there was the biggest, latest outrage was they're all outraged the fact that they got to reprint the ballots because they had Biden, they had the wrong name on there. So that's like the other big thing that's gonna win 49 states. Yeah, sure. That'll happen.
One Eye Willie, I've never voted before. This year will be my first time. Crypto led me to register and vote.
Yeah, I've had crypto bros attack me online and like, yeah, if you're a single issue voter, I'm like, dude, I love crypto, but crypto is like 217 on my list. Okay, everything above it, is on my. And people are like, if you're a single issue voter, well, I'm not a single issue voter, and that's exactly why I believe in Agenda 47, which is Trump's agenda. And you just got to Google Trump's accomplishments. You got to scroll down to see the officials to see what he's one of the few politicians. I mean, Reagan was like that. Few politicians that actually lived up to his promises, did what he said he was going to do, had a lot of pushback. Could he get everything done? But no, and this is who he is. Yeah. So Simone, so she won a gold medal and she said, something about I love my black job. Well, you guys laugh all you want, but in communities where you have like in Chicago and New York and stuff, who's taking the jobs? Illegals. And whose job? And did Trump refer to it the right way? Should he have called it a black job? No, but he should have said, he should have said minorities.
He responded.
Right. Minorities displaced by illegals. Okay. Any American displaced by illegals, unfortunately, a lot of them happen to be black and Hispanic, but they're the ones that are displaced. He called it a black job. Was it the right nomenclature? I'm not so sure. But everybody making fun of my black job. Well, your black job, you got endorsements. You're a multimillionaire. You're married to somebody who's a millionaire. Your black job is, and when was the last time you was a job? Were you paid to be an Olympian? Last time I checked, you weren't. So this whole thing of like making fun of the black job. Well, go to the communities and find out who's getting displaced if you don't believe it. That's up to you.
But it's also the context of where he was. He didn't say it just out in it was the context of where he was being interviewed, right? It was all about,
Nobody said
focus
it
on
before that.
the
He said it in
impact.
his speech before that, though.
Right. No, I know, I get it, but it's the impact on the Black community, on the Hispanic community, on what is getting me though, what we've unfortunately devolved into is separation of identity by race, and that's one of the things that the Party brought back to the forefront in 2008 with Obama, was a separation of identity. I feel like we've devolved from a racial perspective, that we're being categorized into these segments, but there's some reality to, here's, you want to identify the Black community as a whole, the Jewish community as a whole, the Hispanic community as a whole. What are they predominantly voting? They were voting for Democrats, if you look at it as a whole. But they've done such a good job of trying to pit one group against the other, and it shouldn't be that way. At the end of the day, it's about what's best for America, for the United States. How do we, progress and move forward and start building on it? But you do have to focus on, because there's high levels of unemployment within the Black community, and Trump was, he fixed that, or is fixing that. There was, higher employment rates and better jobs, and, supporting predominantly Black historical colleges and things that were happening. But that's, hyper focused on, racial divide. The Democrat Party was doing a really good job of trying to divide everybody that way and categorizing. Everybody has to be a category. They're doing it again right now, right? Because you have, was it the women for Harris and the white men for Harris, and, just stupid things, to do that. It's like, let's bring everyone together. I mean, I, was out of the country a lot when I was growing up, but then, was here up, and, in the late 80s, into the 90s, and I was in New York, and I didn't feel that, I mean, I look at my life growing up, and I have friends from all backgrounds, till today. And, it's
Right.
because but then we have a shared common, philosophy on life also. And it's,
True.
trying to better yourself and better the people around you. And that's what it's all about, but the division, that's what's stoked by leadership, because they want to divide us. They don't like bringing us all together, because when you come together, you share ideas. But there's so much hatred that you'll see kind of fomenting at the top. And what the politicians do, they grasp on to that division, and they try to, pit one against the other. And that's the travesty of it all.
It is, Jeff. And one of the things that I saw that was really cool is I watched a lot of this Dom Luker, who's a phenomenal voice on X. You should go follow him. But he put together, and because of the white guys for Harris and all this stuff, he put together Blacks Against Harris. He put a Zoom call together, had over 70,000, 2,000 people. I listened to good portions of it, and I was just amazed at the solidarity. But everybody had a chance to speak and voice their opinion. You saw a lot of the same type of things that we hear, but again, you're hearing it from the Black community. It's a different sort of it was at times very hard hitting. Like, I was almost a little bit shocked at sometimes of some of the topics that were discussed. But what he's talking about here is, he said the difference between us and Democrats is we uploaded the full video instead of selected clips. You can watch the full video right here. It's 3.5 hours long. And it's yeah, well, put it out right now, Jeff. I'll watch the whole thing. And it was incredibly well done. But again, it was great hearing, some people were, speakers are well known. Some people are just like everyday Americans, and from different, and again, the backgrounds were all diverse and different. And it was very hard hitting, but this is something that there was a real conversation. 72,000 people, this got zero publicity at all. Why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative. And I want to show this one here. Nobody said anything when Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black, right? If you're not for me, so if you don't vote for me, you're nobody, you're garbage. Like, that's one of the most offensive things you can possibly say. And everyone's like, oh, ha, 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 whatever. And Trump calls it black jobs, and oh my God, the whole, here's what we got, Aussie crypto, right? So he says, we want a strong global leader, and we had that with Trump before. And that's right. And that's right. You want to see peace break out everywhere? You want to see things happen? How did this yeah, the illusion of 51% will do. Yeah, you don't need, that's the thing with democracy. You don't need 51%, just an illusion. Yeah, and we've gone
That's why
through
we don't
that.
have democracy.
Yeah, and then you have what was the wait, I lost some of my this guy Alex Yeats says, I'm tired of people telling me about Trump Agenda 2025. The reason you're tired about it is because when you don't have a record to run on, when you don't have a sense of accomplishments to run on, when you don't have fresh new ideas about how you're going to undo the destruction you did, and if you're Kamala Harris and you don't have an idea on how you're going to run on glitzy glamour and la la la, and I'm a young person and look at me and I'm the next generation, you have zero, you have all failed policies, your administration was failed, but you're going to be different, right? You're the one that's going to reset crypto, right? Okay. So you make it about things, you straw man arguments where you put something over here and you chat about it. And then Trump says, so the constant lies. The problem is the people out there aren't smart enough to disseminate between what's real and what's not. And Chicago to year to date, 361 murders, 1,470 people shot, 40 years of total Democrat rule. Yeah, and it's getting worse. Every mayor they bring in there is worse than the previous one. In New York, every mayor they bring in is worse than the previous one.
That's right.
Every governor is worse than the previous one.
Think about what Giuliani did for New York City. He cleaned up New York City. I mean, to the point where it was safe. New York City was a great place to be. It didn't last long. Alchemist, funny, said, I don't see any yard signs here for anyone, but I think Alchemist is in Thailand. So I don't know that.
Yeah.
There's no, maybe we can ship you one. Then you can put it out there.
Theo says, it doesn't matter who runs. The voting machines will be rigged. The Democrats are going to win. Just ask Venezuela's Maduro how he won. Some machines, same machines the U.S. is using. Yeah. It's a lot of the...
So Max B is saying we need no blood, no Trump or Kamala. Now, here's the thing. Trump was brand new to the space for politics. Been around a long time from a bit. He was new to politics there for his 4 years. Now, it's you look at what his objectives are, and it is setting the country back on track, making sure that we're tapping into our energy resources. We want to be able to drill, want to become energy efficient, energy independent. We need to lead the U.S. Again, speaking specifically from a U.S. perspective, we have to be leaders in the world. We have to have a phenomenal economy. We have to have a phenomenal infrastructure. We need all of this, put together for our future. We have to leave this place in a better condition than we received it, meaning we have to leave it to our children better than we got it. Right now, we're leaving the entire world in a worse off position than what we got it, And so from our kids' perspective, I want to make sure that my son doesn't grow up in a world where his children have to fear walking down the streets. I want him to have the same experience of being able to go out of the house and be confident that he's not going to, be, and his children won't be assaulted. I want to make sure that he has the freedoms to do what he wants to be able to accomplish and what he wants to be able to do. And when you see that being taken away all over the country and all over the world, you got to correct it. You have to right it. Then you have to say, okay, who's the leadership? And earlier said we need a younger leadership. Just because they're younger, but their ideas might not be, fine tuned yet. Here you have Trump is going to be there for the next 4 years. He has this work cut out for him, and he's going to have to set this country back on track. There's a lot of corruptive affairs that are going on here. That's what we need to be able to accomplish. So can you say new blood? Well, new blood, you're right. I agree with you 100%. Bring Trump in, and we need to get rid of and remove a large percentage of all government workers in this country. All those big agencies have to be, cut down to maybe a quarter of their size, and maybe even smaller. Maybe some of them have to be deleted. You think about the corruptive nature of the Board of Education and on and on and on, where the Board of Education, as an example, has become a very politicized entity that is brainwashing our children and the next generations into whatever their agenda is. We have to make sure that everything is set. So you're right, new blood, but you need a leader that can lead. You can't just say, I want somebody new, but they have no leadership skill. They have no accomplishments in their life. We don't want more career politicians either. That's the word. I don't want someone that has, from the day they left college or university or whatever, they've been in politics and they're in politics the rest of their life. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Trump will be there for 4 years, then he's going to move on with his life. Here's a guy that has sacrificed everything. He doesn't have to be there. He doesn't have to do what he's doing. You know, what's in it for him at this point? That, you know, they're impacting and attacking him and his entire family. And he's putting it out there. He was nearly assassinated, you know, 2 weeks ago. You know, imagine what that impact would have had on this country and on the people and on the world. Think about what the U.S. represents on a global stage. As much as we're attacked as the evil ones, as you know, as the axis of evil would want to portray us, the U.S. has been on the forefront to help people for a really long time. Not always doing it accurately or the right way. You could say we've had some missteps, but as an overall, this country and our political system is probably one of the best political systems that has been around through history for the freedom of the people. And that's it. And this is why you can't just say we need new blood. You can't just say no Trump, no Kamala. You have to say, hey, who's going to be the best leader that's going to get us back on track to where we need to be? And that's it.
I have a question for Max P. Okay, let's go with your assertion we need new blood. Please put 1, 2, or 3 names in the chat of who that new blood is. Because if you don't have 1, 2, or 3 names, it's an empty statement. We got to fight for what's right. Well, what's right? I don't know. It's a phrase. We need new blood.
Good point.
Who is the new blood? I don't know. I mean, somebody ought to do it. It's always somebody. This is the Democrat sort of vision. It's like it's somewhere, somehow, somebody coulda, woulda, shoulda, but nobody has it. It's all straw man argument. This is Elizabeth Warren thing. She bitches about this. She complains about that. She authored one bill that was nonsense, and 12 years of nothing, of just gaslighting and consistently parroting whatever. You know, she's become more of a national candidate, does very little for Massachusetts. John Deaton's going to crush her, especially in the debate. He's going to destroy her in the debate. Cannot wait to see that. But we got to get him over the finish line, and we got to get this Ian Kane nut job out of the. You know, keep fighting him because he's the Democrat plant. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna hang on a second, Jeff. Do we have a name in there? Has Max P put a name in there? Let's see who Max P thinks the new blood is. Let me see. Got nothing from Max P yet.
At least one person.
Max P. Awesome. Who is the new blood? We need the new blood. We have to have the new blood. Who's the new blood? I don't know.
One person. Well, you know,
who's the new blood? I'll tell you who the new blood is. Byron Donalds is the new blood, right?
Byron Donalds would be awesome.
Right? Vivek Ramaswamy, that's the new blood, non-politician. Vivek, that guy is about as accomplished as it. So because of MAGA movement, because what grew out of that was how to tell the Republicans how to win again, because they just put their tail between their legs and they collapse because they're feckless morons, okay? They're cowards. The Republicans are morons, number one. That's the first thing you know. They're all RINOs, pretty much. And who came out? Vivek. Okay, guy is phenomenal. You can't undo him in an interview. He'll crush you. You can't undo Byron Donalds in an interview. He'll crush you. Those are the guys who are the future of the party. You know, JD wasn't high on my list. I'm not a huge fan of his. He's an accomplished guy. You know, he grew up dirt poor, evidenced by his best-selling book. You know, he's had quite a life. He built quite a business. He fought. I have a lot of respect for the fact that he went out and fought and 2 tours for the U.S. Okay, he's a guy that's accomplished. But are there better people the next round? I think so. I think the guys that'll be better. And it remains to be seen what's going to go on with JD. But we'll see. Look at this. Bob said, Bob Moneybags deleted my Uphold account, withdrew 23 of my XRP. Had in there for half a decade. And Bob, sticking it to the man, dude. Good job, Bob. I'm very proud of you.
I like to uphold technology. So Max P says Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley.
Thank you.
Nikki Haley, that means you want ongoing wars, right?
Yeah. Nikki Haley is a RINO. Nikki Haley has got zero backbone. Ron
DeSantis, he proved that he wasn't good on the national stage. He's a great governor, but he just wasn't good, you know. And maybe his time isn't here yet. I feel
Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis was running around the country pretending, you know, I'm presidential. Meanwhile, everybody who's a homeowner in Florida, their insurance went up 18%. Now it's
lots of problems here.
He had one job to do, and he let a House seat that was historically Republican flip to Democrat. This is the guy. Yeah, that was the guy. Who's the guy? Listen, Ron DeSantis proved, and he basically destroyed his political future by going out there and just
Yeah.
collapsing on the national stage.
It was
I
a
agree.
mistake.
One of the best
Huge
governors in the
mistake.
United States, but he made a lot of grave errors. He wasn't around for things that were happening in Florida. He ignored that. Yeah, all the woke stuff he fought, but the things that really matter, like homeowners going like, how am I going to cover 18% increase, a 20% increase? When your insurance, your homeowners policy is going through the roof, and this is a guy going off pretending, putting lifts in his shoe, like, I'm going to be presidential. No, he's not presidential. So he failed a lot.
It was a huge mistake. He failed a lot of people. And I know specifically from the inside, some of the things that happened and were said to bring him back, mainly because if you remember, it was about a year or 2 years ago when we had that massive flood in Fort Lauderdale. There was lots of rain and the streets were flooded, and he was running around the country, and they kept sending requests to support and help, and it was quiet. So they finally got, it had to go up the chain to get him to pay attention, not on the chain. No, up the chain. Put it up the chain. But it was different. It's and the fact that he needed to focus here, but he's going to be term limited out, and then he can do whatever he wants after that.
Yeah. How about Senzel here? Desantis creeps people out with his laugh and his smile. He does creep people out a little bit. He's a little creeped. I vote crypto blood. Oh, good.
Yeah. Republicans have a great bench for 2028. I agree with that too. There's going to be a lot of great. It's going to be 2028. It's going to be fun.
But I will thank you. I will thank. Let's see where we go.
The Democrat new blood is nothing but anti-American socialist. Period. 100%. And we had a video in here. Someone was explaining that weird statement that Kamala had is actually a Marxist statement. That he's saying that we're not giving her. We have this short video in here.
I have it here.
Yeah, play it if you can put
President
that one up,
Harris
and we'll play
will
that.
say repeatedly, what is the quote?
The quote is that we can see what can be unburdened by what has been.
Is that word salad or Marxism?
It's Marxism. That is, in fact, not at all word salad. It is a Marxist, as I said on Twitter the other day and got mocked relentlessly by the media for this. I said it's a Marxist incantation, as a matter of fact. It's like a spell. So you can see the possibility of a world that's unburdened from its own history, which is exactly what Mao Zedong did when he launched the campaign of Smash the Four Olds, the four old characteristics of Chinese society. They were going to make a new China that was going to be unburdened by what had been in the past of China. This is what the Soviets, the Bolsheviks, did when they took over power in Russia, is that they were going to make the new Russia. They're going to make the new man, as a matter of fact. People could become unburdened by what has been so that they could see what could possibly be in the terms of a socialist utopia. So, Madam Vice President, when she says that, I assume, given that her father was a Marxist and a professor, I assume she knows what she's saying, and I don't buy her Idiot Valley speak shtick one bit. I think she's far more smart and far more savvy than conservatives have given her credit for, and she is an outright Marxist. It is very, very clear in her language, and that's what the Democrats want to nominate for president right now, which is kind of horrifying.
Oh, there you go.
There
Chip,
it
I
is.
think that's spot on. And everyone laughed about it. And then as you understand it, and it is, they do have those incantations like that where you just recite, work will set you free. There's like different things that they say and you drone on about it, and that's another one. Alex Yee was saying Trump is new blood for our country. He's not a corrupt politician. He's a businessman entering the political round, new as F MAGA. There you go. And he is, at the first time around, I think he was shocked by how horrible, people were, from a political perspective, that people didn't stand by their word. Your word is your bond. That's it. In business, you have all these contracts because there's, some corruption there. But if you do business with a good business person, and you give your word, then that's it. What do you need all the written contracts? That does help from a legal perspective because stuff goes sideways. But when you are in a position where everybody, you have to be concerned whether they're telling you the truth or not, and constantly trying to stab you in the back, that's super, super problematic. Domain XRP, more bad guys get power than good guys. Generally speaking, bad guys chase greed and power, where most good guys don't chase power, lead a simple life, hoping good guys get power, and that's a good, interesting point, but, and you have from a business perspective, some people, they go and just the accumulation, right? They want to win. There's that drive and desire, whatever it is, and they do really well at it. Trump has given back a lot. He does a lot of things behind the scenes when you see true character. And there's a lot of, videos that have surfaced, not, things that he's done just out of respect, for other people. And look at the way his kids are. His kids are all very, well, mannered, the whole group of them. I mean, just the way they are, you can, and well mannered. I mean, by that, just how they treat other people, not a show that they're putting on. Overall.
Look at Kamala. She's got two-step kids that are nutters, right? Two-step kids that are absolutely out of their mind, insane. And why are all the leaders of Europe? Why are they childless? How are you going to build a better future? You don't even know what it is to have a family or look out for people. It's insane. I want to put this up, Jeff. This is interesting. The meaning of peace is the absence of opposition to socialism. There you go, Karl Marx. And then here's another
interesting too.
Democracy is indispensable to socialism. Vladimir Lenin. There you go. It's indispensable to socialism. There you
need democracy and socialism.
Right. That's what democracy is. And if you want to see democracy in action, you just have to look at Venezuela. Democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy because democracy is mob rule. Democracy is, control. Democracy is, censorship. That, of course, he is he's a threat.
XRP is unburdened by price appreciation.
Damn right it is.
Her grandparents were plantation owners.
Is when XRP moons. Damn right. Now we could use some unburdening there for sure. Matt LaRoche, it's our history that defines us. Why would anyone want to wipe it? If mistakes are made, the history needs to remain to be able to learn from it. Because every 40 years it repeats. Every 40 to 60 years, we repeat the same thing over and over again. I always look at this like what always grounds me is like 100 years from now, it's all going to be new people on the planet. 100 years from now, everyone's dead, pretty much. There might be 5-10% of people. In 100 years, that's the reset. The reset is that the civilization continues, and whatever the ideas expressed here, if you want to go off the rails, if you want to destroy the country, you destroy the country. But at some point, I look at what happened in Venezuela. These people are out in the streets. Here, people are like, let me see, what's on Netflix? Let's Netflix and chill. The election was stolen. But that happens. Like everyone's become so desensitized. Meanwhile, you see these countries where they're out there in the streets. You look at somebody like Javier Milei, who goes in there and deleted like 12 of the 18 government offices. He got rid of them all. // And that's how you have to do it. You start anew, or as it says in our Constitution, if it goes off the rails, we, the people, have the right to reimagine how that's going to be and redo a reset. We can do our own reset. But if we're not outraged, we don't care. It's basically the frog in the pot that boils slowly over time until you realize we're cooked and it's over. So, I mean, we are close to civil war again. I know which side has the guns. I put a post on X recently where I said there are roughly something like 340 million people, and there's something close over 400 million plus, guns in the country. So there's a lot more guns than even people here. And this is why Japan didn't attack the West Coast, which they thought of, because they know that everybody's holding guns. They wouldn't be able to hit the civilian population. And this is what you have to do. You have to be armed. You have to pay attention. The 10 planks of communism and compare it to the land of the free. There you go. That's some smart
Democrats
people.
Will go the way of the Whig Party. Does anybody remember the Whig Party?
The Whig
That's
Party,
the
yeah.
point.
I got to go back far in time. The Whigs, man.
Now, crypto investigator says President Trump is the choice. Otherwise, any other Republican candidates will take away our ability to beat the Marxist left. I'm thinking even the independents will vote President Trump. If not, and I believe there's a lot of Democrats and a lot of independents that are going to be voting for Trump. Many have switched parties already. Many haven't, but they will vote for Trump. And we're going to have an election cycle. We have 161 million registered voters in the US, not 168 million like they had in 2020, 161. So we got to look at what the percentages are. They had 94% supposedly came out. Again, the corruption of all historical statistics before that. So we'll see what happens as we, move forward to this. And
put that up again. Put up Moneybags there.
I'll
All
bring
jokes
it on
aside,
back. Yeah.
Democrats lost a good portion of the Rust Belt here at Northeast Ohio, minus Cleveland and Akron. But I'll also never forget the administration for essentially flipping off East Palestine. So East Palestine, dude, we just basically got zero attention. I mean, what happened there with that derailment? It's like this whole town suffered. And I know, Bob, you did a great thing. You went ahead and raised money. You were raising money. A lot of people independently were raising money. And you saw what happened in Hawaii. I mean, look what happened in Hawaii.
Oh, right.
The torched, a whole town got torched. The people were excluded from going back there, and they got $700. Jeff, $700. What world does that? Tell me what world that makes sense, please.
Yeah,
I'll wait. I mean, I just don't understand how this can continue.
that's right. Yeah, no, it's we've reached a point. People have to be, very, open to understanding and educating themselves on the travesty that took place and can take place again if we ignore it. And here's something. And granted, you can pull people out of the woodwork and say, hey, why is this person supporting you? Don't you, you need to, say that, you don't, look at all the things that they said to Trump. They're like, oh, do you denounce neo-Nazism and so because somebody supported you and blah, blah, blah. But here's one. It said, F the white women, black activists tied to VP Harris could derail Dem unity message with past rhetoric. Now, the problem is that we're seeing this trend. Similar to Obama went to that mega church and his pastor that was extremely racist and anti-Semitic. And here again, you have Harris, that has had someone in the White House, between these two people over 50 times. That's a lot of times. That's not one appearance, but you have these activists that are very, very, racially motivated and driven to, and they're very, anti-white and, and this has to be, they have to look at this and say, okay, hey, what exactly, is going on? Why are we going to allow this to continue? And doesn't that also then have some semblance? Doesn't that say, hey, here's who this person is? And again, we talk about the division. They want to racially divide. They want to economically divide. They want one group pitted. That's what communists do. That's what socialists do. They take that narrative. I think it was Crypto Navigator was, I forget who said that their wife was from Venezuela, and they can speak very succinctly on the communist uprising in Venezuela. But in those beginning stages, when Chavez was taking over in Venezuela, he promised the poor that they too could live in the wealthy neighborhoods. He accused the grocery stores for raising the prices. That would be like now saying the grocery stores are the culprits. They're the ones raising the prices. It's because of them that everything has gone up 30 or 40%. Has nothing to do with the way the political echelon is running things that have stoked inflation. But, so they'll single that out. What Chavez did was he took over golf courses and parks in wealthier neighborhoods and built tenement housing and brought the poor to those neighborhoods. What do you think happened to the neighborhoods? Did they get better? Did the poor that they brought in there, did they get richer? No, it brought all of society down. It collapsed everything to the point where Venezuela was a mass exporter of beef, a mass exporter of produce. They were self-sufficient. They have precious metals. They have gas. They have all sorts of things in their soil that they could take advantage of. And they went from a mass exporter to where they are today. They devastated that economy and they divided everybody. And again, they pitted from there. They were pitting economic class against economic class. And this is what the socialist communists do. They want to hand out. They want to take from everybody else. They want to give it to the poor, but they don't want to lift them up. They don't want to re-educate. And they don't want to educate. They don't want to give people an opportunity to better themselves and learn a trade. By that's what I mean by re-educate. They do want to re-educate because they want to teach people that, doing for yourself is bad and you have to rely on the government. So they'll re-educate you from that perspective. But they don't want you to better yourself. And that's the destructive nature of Marxism, of communism, of socialism and democracy, because democracy is built into that socialist infrastructure where it is a majority rule. And that's why this country stands out. It's not a parliamentary form of government. We're a constitutional republic, and we have a specific process. We have an electoral system that was structured in such a way that gave every state a voice. Every state in the union has a voice. But the Democrats want to undo that because they see the population centers that you have 30 million people in California, you have X over here in New York, you have these people, and they want to take advantage of those majorities and try to get that majority to then dictate and control the rest of the country by undoing and redoing our electoral college. And they want to impact your First Amendment and your Second Amendment right. So don't believe any of their hype. That's their objective, and that's it. Here, I like this too. Look at this. Learn a trade to better yourself. I think he means trade XRP for BTC, but I could be wrong. Learn to trade to better yourself, right? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I want to get back to Bob Moneybag's comment here. I had to mute myself because I coughed before. But I want to get back to this because if you look at Hawaii and listen, I know your whole town burned down. You're not allowed to go back and rebuild because they've been trying to take this town for big business and hotels for 40 years, and now they won't let you go back to your land. They've got it all, basically, fenced off. But they gave you $700, and in East Palestine they gave nothing as far as I know. Maybe Bob will correct me here, but the money that was raised was all independent. You had this massive disaster. This, it happened with the derailment. And look at this. So this is an illegal migrant from Venezuela left her receipt at the grocery store, so the cashier took a photo. EBT food stamp balance $13,400. EBT cash balance $4,498. Yet millions of Americans can't afford groceries, gas, and rent. Make this post go viral. And there it is right there. There's the thing, right? You can see the balance right there.
I don't see it. Oh, at the top. Look at that.
So this is an illegal who came in here, was given free money. So if you don't think for a second the policy is to have, now these people are getting driver's licenses, now they're registering to vote. They're registering to vote everywhere. This was always, if you can't win on policy, if you can't win on a policy or the arena of ideas, you basically go ahead and force your way. You basically install, you don't elect, right? So this is what it is. So you get all these millions of migrants to come in here and illegals to vote for you. And this is beyond egregious. Explain to me who's voting for, thinks Harris is the greatest thing ever, thinks this is good policy to basically tell Americans that you don't matter and that your money, we'll give money to people who came here illegally. And people miss it all the time. Is like, look, I'm married to somebody who grew up in a different country and came here legally. I know a lot of my friends and people that I work with came here legally. I'm for legal immigration. I think we have to bring in the best and brightest. I think it's why the U.S. is such a great country. But to just ignore the rule of law and come in here, like John Deaton was talking the other day about how we have to have the remain in Mexico policy. If you want to file for asylum, you remain there until it's approved and goes through a court and there's proper vetting. That's how it was in the Trump administration. And so for these clowns to be saying, oh, the Republicans won't sign a border bill. There's no border bill to sign. The border is open, and all they have to do is go ahead and reinstate all the executive orders that Trump had. Day one, Biden went in there and deleted them all. He basically, negated every single one of them. And this is why we have what we have here, Jeff. I mean, it's an atrocity. And who are the people? People get caught up in the celebrity of people. The cult of personality has destroyed this country. When you look underneath the hood, they're all a bunch of Marxist, socialist morons. That's what we're dealing with right now. Yeah, people do like free stuff. They liked it in Venezuela, and they said, you're going to have free oil. The poor people get the gas up for free. Oh, my God. They just did this in Chile, which is my wife's home country, where they just elected a socialist. They had some solid leaders down there that basically turned around their GDP, basically became banking center again. The guy was, one of the presidents was an ex-banking guy. He basically rebuilt the country. You know what the country is now? Crime-ridden, drugs. Last time I was down, I was instructed if a car pulls up to you, you get out, everyone gets out of the car and you walk away because they shoot people in the head and then they take your car. This is the country that banned guns. So this is the country that, over in England, they don't have guns. You know what they have? Knives. You know what they have? An increase in knife deaths, right? Knifings, stabbings, nonstop stuff. But don't worry, don't outlaw the knives. No. You have to outlaw the guns. You know who doesn't abide by those rules? Somebody told me on X the other day that, well, they have very strict laws against, knife violence. Yeah, but you know who doesn't abide by them? The criminals. The criminals will always have guns. The criminals will always be able to make guns. And so law-abiding citizens won't have the ability to protect themselves. So when you hear gun control, that's not gun control. It's gun banning. Every country that gave up their guns turned into an atrocity. Look out throughout the entire history. Every single one of them turned into an atrocity. So it's basically nonstop, Jeff. It's nonstop craziness, man. Don't get me started. I'm getting all wound up here.
A lot of them too. Restrictive gun ownership. China, Japan, Venezuela, Myanmar. They only allow certain people to own firearms, and they issue license prohibited. Cambodia, Eurasia, Solomon Islands prohibit strict prohibition. Other countries have banned Brunei, Comoros, East Timor, the Maldives, Marshall Islands, Nauru, North Korea, Somalia. What do you know about that? Those have some of the strictest, and I don't think they're very safe places overall. You know, as a general rule, you know, it's.
Let me read off. I tried to pull this up on my screen, Jeff, but I couldn't. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control. 1929 to 1953, 20 million dissidents rounded up and were murdered. In 1911, Turkey established gun control. From 1915 to 1917, 1.5 million Christian Armenians rounded up, exterminated. 1938, Germany established gun control. From 1939 to 1945, 13 million Jews and others rounded up and exterminated. 1935, China established gun control. From 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents rounded up and exterminated. 1964, Guatemala established gun control. From 1981 to 1984, 100,000 Mayan Indians rounded up, exterminated. 1970, Uganda established gun control. From 71 to 79, 300,000 Christians rounded up, exterminated. 1956, Cambodia established gun control. From 1975 to 1977, 1 million educated people rounded up and exterminated. In the 20th century, more than 56 million defenseless people were rounded up and exterminated by people using gun control. And that's just a short list, Jeff. There's a bigger list than that. But this goes to show you, when they talk about gun control, what they really want is they want to get rid of all the guns. They can't because of the Second Amendment, but doesn't mean they're not going to try. It goes to the Supreme Court, it becomes unconstitutional. But this whole thing of gun control is that they want you to be submissive. They want to control you. They want to tell you that they're the official purveyors of truth. They're going to be the official fact checkers and tell you what you can do and believe. That's not freedom. And I vote for the party of freedom. And the party, and if you look at Trump, the RINOs don't like him. The RINOs are worried. Why? It's a uniparty. They're both together. You're going to rule for a while. We're going to rule for a while. We're all going to get fat cats. We're all going to come out rich and wealthy. We're all going to know what stocks we can vote on, we can own and we can sell. This is a uniparty. They call it a uniparty for a reason, because they're all in cahoots together. And who's the one guy that upsets both parties? That guy's name is Trump. He's the only one that the own party doesn't want them. The Democrats are all in on socialism, Marxism, communism. They love all the isms, but the one guy that they don't want, that's a threat to all of it, to everyone's, to the future, all the three-letter agencies. Yeah, that guy is Trump. That's the guy that I'm voting for. I'm going to vote freedom. Is he going to do everything right? No. Is he going to do most things right? Yeah, I vote on policy. So there you go.
So it's interesting. Alchemist brought up Thailand. So Thailand doesn't have guns. So here's a statistic from let me see if I do it without the horrible ads. The total number of guns, they actually have the highest gun ownership of all the Asian countries. So it says here, civilian firearm ownership in Thailand is 10 times higher than its military holdings, and approximately 45 times that of law enforcement. In stark contrast, Indonesia has 1.7 military firearms, 430 in law enforcement, compared to only 82,000 held by citizens. So here it says, this disparity may indicate a deep-seated mistrust of public safety. And so I'm trying to find, there was an actual number here of actual gun ownership as we look around the different Asian countries, but Thailand actually has a higher number of guns in the population. So let me look here. Let me pull this up. It said here, here. So it was estimated that civilians in Thailand held 10.3 million guns legally and illegally, with about 4 million of those being illegal. So they have stricter gun laws, but they still, so Thailand has strict gun laws that regulate possession, manufacturing, and use. Authorization: individuals must obtain authorization for gun ownership, which can be granted for a specific purpose like self-defense, hunting, or sports. Background checks: civilians must undergo a background check before purchasing a firearm. Taxes: civilians pay a tax of up to 40% on a firearm. Public carrying guns in public without a license is prohibitive, with some exceptions for emergency and certain officials. Illegal possessing a firearm illegally can result in a prison sentence of up to 10 years and a fine of about $535, which is 20,000 baht or baht. However, some say Thailand's gun laws are not strictly enforced, and the country has one of the highest rates of gun violence in Southeast Asia. In 2017, it was estimated that civilians held, like I mentioned, 10.3 million guns. In March 2023, the outgoing cabinet endorsed a bill to tighten gun laws, along with a 180-day amnesty for unregistered firearms. However, some experts say, I love how some experts, but this is just a summary. Some experts, I don't know which ones they are, just some of them, that there's a holistic approach, but this is just a summary that was generated here by AI. But there's a population. Let's see, there are more than 6 million registered guns in a population of 66 million people. So there's still a lot of guns, not like here. Here we have a lot more. But yeah, I don't, and that's it. That's it.
15.
I had no idea either. I would have, alchemists, I would have just said, hey, yeah, that's probably the case in most of the Asian countries. And I would have said, hey, that's probably true, but then looking at this, it's pretty amazing, as you look around. But you don't hear anything about it. You don't hear about gun violence or anything coming out of.
I was hearing like gun violence, attacks in Nong Bom Lam Ha and Siam Paragon and Mall underscores Thailand's firearm issue. Despite promises to tighten control, the government has yet to implement effective measures. The high gun ownership reflects a lack of trust in public safety and law. I was just pulling some summaries from this article. 40% of civilian firearms are illegal. So there, a lot of the same stats you read off, but again, so 15 per 100 people, 15% of the population owns guns, and it seems like they're making it more and more difficult to actually possess firearms, which is what happens. But anyway, Jeff, we are an hour and 46 into this. We have 715 people watching actively. It's a good show. I would really like to see that. Guys, we have to go. Mark, see you later. I go unlock my 7 XRP from escrow. Good for you, my man. 7.
From escrow.
Good number, by the way. I'm sure as a foreigner, it's a no-go for me. That's correct. Yeah, foreigners are prohibited from owning guns. But you can get a knife. Better be a good one, a long one. But
you get to hang out on the beach. What better place is that?
Right. I mean, you get to have amazing food, and you get to also have very inexpensive. I remember D and I would always share like, "Hey, I just went and had this amazing lunch. Cost me $1.85." I was like, "What?" That was like an amazing lunch. So it's like, yeah, it's inexpensive to live there as well. But anyway, guys, that's all the time we have here. Really appreciate you guys being here.
Oh wow!
We will be back again tomorrow night. Actually, Jeff, I think you'll be solo tomorrow night because I will be
solo.
I'll be with family, so I will not be here tomorrow night.
Solo.
I'll be back on Wednesday.
Why be solo or so low?
You'll be so low. How low can you go? So low. Yeah, you'll be rising high, flying with the eagles, my man. All right, that's all I had time we had. We are out of here. Anything you want to say before you get out of here, Jeff? It's almost an hour and 50 into it. Holy cow, long.
An hour and 50. Hour 50.
Almost 2 hours, yeah.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, appreciate your comments here, Bob. Good stuff, my man. Good stuff. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you very much. Very good. Alex says thumbs up. Great. What do you say, Jeff? Anything before you get out of here?
No, I think glad everybody joined us here. We dug in, got some ideas. We want to workshop things on this channel, right? We want people coming in, love everybody's perspective and point of view. This is our show. I love reading everything. We'll throw controversial stuff out there, and then we get the impact, and it's awesome. We learn, you guys learn. It's the best way to do it. We don't have all the facts, and we're not always perfect with everything, but we have some amazing bright people that come into the show that offer up commentary, and I love it. I think it's the greatest place that we enjoy coming in here 3 days a week. Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us Sunday night. We'll be here so low.
And thank you, John, for that. John D, for that super sticker. Really appreciate that. Jeff, you look like a ninja today. You got like your ninja gear on. I think you're.
I do have my ninja gear.
Put the black cap on, the black beanie on there.
I should. I need to grab that.
Yeah,
that'll be.
That'll be some good stuff. Dug in a couple of times. Dug in like a couple of Alabama ticks. Yeah, there you go. That we did. We did like a bunch of Alabama. You guys are funny.
A bunch of.
And again, the show wouldn't be the show without you guys. You guys make, this is why you drive a lot of the conversation. Like I said, it's good to have diversity of thoughts. Good for people to think both ways. Hey, I think this way. This is who I think should be the candidate. I appreciate you putting in the candidate you think should take the reins. Look, it's important to get ideas. It's important to talk about it. And I'd rather have talk about things. And of course, our show will talk about what we want to talk about, but we do appreciate the input. It's good to have some diversity in thought. Used to be that Alchemist was the guy we did. Now we're finding we agree with Alchemist. He's almost all the time. So it's like, look, you can have your things where you disagree. Jeff and I will disagree on things, but again, it's good to have an arena where you'll be able to air it. And we know that 90% of this crowd is sort of like lockstep with the way we think. So Kelly, have a good weekend. John
and
D.
I think and Chip, I think it's great to, we pulled up the receipts on the support that Ripple is giving John Deaton. And I think that's really important. We asked for a fair shake. We want the receipts from Fair Shake to see if they're going to give a fair shake to John Deaton as a candidate and see what kind of donations the Fair Shake PAC, what they'll do to help support a candidate like John Deaton in Massachusetts. So we'll have to pull up those receipts and see what they're doing from that perspective. It's really important. And I would love to bring JP Theriot on and talk to him a little bit more and really get a much clearer perspective on his commentary. I think
we can always try to get him on there. I don't know if
we'll try to get him. I want to know what does that mean for the crypto space? Like what is, and even like a Chris Larson, dig down and drill down, what do they think that means for the crypto space at large? But like you said, Chip, and this is kind of outgoing thoughts, you're putting crypto kind of at the bottom. There's a lot of other critical things that need to happen in order for crypto to exist. And that's why, crypto is kind of on your lower end of your list, because without everything else, the crypto side doesn't even matter, so I think that, can be very valuable just to understand the dynamics, and love to keep doing this because guess what, guys, November is going to come really quick. So we're going to have a lot more of these conversations.
It's good to have them, man. It's good to have them. And again, Ripple needs to be applauded for, endorsing, giving money to John Deaton, which is kind of against the grain a little bit, but they're doing what's right. And listen, everybody, Chris Larson, JP Theriot, everybody has the right to do what they want, say what they want. It's a free country. 100%. We respect free speech, but also our free speech too. We get to criticize it. We get to say what we disagree with, or find sort of the items we might not necessarily understand. Like, okay, well, how are you looking at this? Well, what exactly is it that you think that this group of people are going to do over here, this party versus this party, right? How come they haven't done? Where's the reset? I keep hearing from all the crypto bros, the reset's coming. Great. I would welcome it. And it'd be great if they just got rid of Gensler now and they put somebody in that was pro crypto, right? That's how you show people like, oh my God, they're serious about it. If you don't, it's just small talk. It's talk is cheap. Let's see some action. You don't even have to do anything. Just go ahead out there and make it happen. Get rid of Gensler. Get rid of Operation Choke Point 2.0. Right? Yeah. Stop the attacks on the crypto. Tell the SEC to go. Put someone in there that's going to be pro crypto, and they'll kill some of these lawsuits. But again, we have to do the right thing, and we're going to continue to do it. Yeah. This is our mission.
It is mission number one.
Mission number one. We got a big election coming up. We're going to be as vocal as we can be about it, express our opinions. Everybody gets a chance to express theirs. It is a free country, and I respect everyone's freedom of speech to express themselves the way they want to express themselves.
We've been Chip with Uphold. I want to see what they do moving forward and see if there's a I want to give them the benefit of the doubt with Uphold, because Uphold's been here for a long time. Well,
they also supported them. They supported throughout all the other exchanges. Said we're not selling XRP. They said screw it. It hasn't been ruled a security until it is. We're gonna go ahead and sell it. So I give them a lot of big props for doing that. I just feel like you know, and JP is not, no, he's a director there. He was the founder, but he's a director, and there's new leadership over there at Uphold. And I mean, should you cancel your account? That's up to you if you want to cancel your account. But if you disagree with someone's opinion, then express the fact that you disagree with their opinion. That's it. But you know, I don't know. I mean, canceling your account, if they're neutral, then who's the one that's coming out at Uphold that's pro-Trump? Right. You express the pro Kamala Harris, okay, and you say you're neutral. Well, where's the balance? There it is, Jeff. There it is. I was waiting for those things.
I want to see the balance. I want to see how. I mean, let's see how this plays out. But it's almost like, you know, the current, and I know now we're throwing all this stuff in here, but the current administration, they were the 9/11 mastermind. They came up with some idea. They've retracted it. You know, they maybe realized the public wasn't 100% on board with that, and Uphold, you know, don't want to compare the two, but they're two like pretty big, you know, deals, you know, but Uphold, you know, coming out, they have to look out for what, you know, they have to look out for their business. They have to look out for their business center. And I want to learn more as we go forward. This all just came out this past week with Uphold and, you know, Chris and everything. And so things are in development. You know, so we'll play that out over the next few weeks, and there's going to be a ton more, lots and lots more that's coming out. But to your point, I want to see the balance. I want to see big leaders in the space that are coming out and supporting Trump, and I know there'll be some that will support Harris, and I want to know why. I want to know why both sides believe so passionately what they believe, and that's it. Shut up. Goodbye.
There it is.
Sophie said, "Shut up. Bye." What?
The gloom and the doom. We can't shut up. That's the whole point. We talk forever. We're going to talk and talk and talk and talk. And that's what we do.
We definitely won't go.
We're trying to stretch it out to 2 hours. We haven't done a 2-hour show in a while, but we're at 1 hour and 55 minutes. So Richie Torres is great. Yeah,
amazing.
Richie Torres is fantastic. I will give it that. And I was very pissed at Fair Shake because they donated a minuscule amount. Here's one of the Democrats. They gave $10 million to the guy who's not known, Adam Schiff. But meanwhile, Richie Torres, who's been a champion for crypto, gets some like under 100 grand. Like, make that make sense. The guy that's pro crypto, you ought to be donating 10, 15, 20 million. We need to keep that guy around, right? So
this is what Sophie says. If you don't discipline your kids, you won't discipline your politicians. And that just says, I shut up. That's it. Goodbye.
Oh, shut up already, Sophie. Come on. We got to get out of here. We can't keep reading your comments. All right, guys, that's it. We are out of here. I do mean it. I'm going to play us I'm going to play the long one out. I'll play the long outro since it was a long show. Look at that comment right there. Read that one real quick and then get 45 did everything he said he would do in his first term, and I believe he'll do what he says in his second time. He will support crypto. Yeah, I mean, of course. It's easy to jump in. I mean, all the bills were authored by Republicans, but all right, enough of that. We got to get out of here. Long show, long outro. Guys, see you on the next one. It'll be Jeff tomorrow. Solo.
Alternate reality. A lot of new names here too, which is awesome. So
Chip and Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.